The average beginner loses their first fish within 30 days. Not because they're bad owners, because nobody told them the thing the pet store had every financial reason not to say. Here's how the pet store fish aisle actually works. The prettiest fish in the tank is not necessarily the hardiest fish in the tank. It's the fish that photographs well, ships in bulk, costs almost nothing to restock, and gets bought over and over again by beginners who blame themselves when it dies. That cycle is not accidental. Today I'm going to show you exactly which fish are sitting in that aisle right now, looking beautiful under fluorescent lights, that will quietly fall apart in your home tank within a month. And then I'm going to give you the 8 fish at the exact same stores that will actually thrive. Not survive, thrive. One more thing before we start. There is one fish on the avoid list that I estimate over 60% of everyone watching this video either has right now or has already lost. If that's you, stay until I get to it, because what I'm going to tell you might actually save the one in your tank. Let's go! Pet stores are not your enemy. But they are a business, and the business model of a big box pet store has one structural problem when it comes to fish. Dead fish are repeat purchases. A dog food company wants your dog to live forever, so you keep buying dog food. The incentive structure is aligned with the animal's health. A pet store fish aisle runs on volume and turnover. When a fish dies, and beginners lose fish constantly, the owner comes back, buys a replacement, maybe upgrades the tank, picks up some medication. The store does not lose money when your fish dies. I'm not saying there's a boardroom somewhere with a kill fish faster whiteboard. I'm saying the incentive to clearly explain which fish are genuinely beginner-proof and which ones are gorgeous ticking clocks is not as strong as you might think. So let's fix that. Let's get into the fish you should never bring home. Avoid number 1, the Common Pleco. You've seen this fish. Brown, armored, about 3 inches long in the store, sucking peacefully on the glass like a tiny alien janitor. The label says, Algae Eater. The employee nods. You think, perfect, natural cleanup crew, done. Here's what the label doesn't mention. The Common Pleco, Pterygoplicthis pardalis, grows to 24 inches. Not 24 centimeters, 24 inches. 2 feet of fish. In the wild, these animals live in large rivers across South America. They reach sexual maturity at 2 feet long. They produce waste at a volume that can crash the water chemistry of a standard home aquarium within weeks. The fish you bought for $5.99 to clean algae will, within 18 months, require a 125-gallon tank minimum. Produce more biological waste than everything else in your tank combined, and devour any live plants you have on contact. Most beginner tanks are 10 to 20 gallons. The Common Pleco is in that tank at every single PetSmart in America. Sometimes labeled as Common Pleco, sometimes listed simply as Algae Eater, always 3 inches long, never with a note that says, this animal has the adult dimensions of a small dog. There is a better Pleco. We'll get to it in part 2. Avoid number 2. Fancy goldfish in a community tank. Goldfish are cold water fish. I know that sounds obvious, but here's what most beginners don't fully process when they're standing in that aisle. Goldfish thrive between 65 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Standard tropical community tanks run 76 to 80 degrees. When you put a fancy goldfish in a heated tropical tank, you're not just making it slightly uncomfortable, you're running its metabolism at a rate its body wasn't designed for. Goldfish in warm water burn through oxygen faster, become more susceptible to bacterial infection, and experience significantly shortened lifespans. Meanwhile, everything else in your tropical tank, the tetras, the guppies, the corydoras, is now living in water that's too cool for them. Both populations lose. Fancy goldfish are also heavy waste producers. They require large, well-filtered tanks, specialized food, and ideally, tank mates of the same species only. They're beautiful fish with complex care requirements. They are not community tank fish. And yet they sit right there in the community fish section. Every time. Avoid number 3. Neon Tetras. Yes, really. Before the comments explode, listen. Neon Tetras are not bad fish. They are stunning. That electric blue and red stripe is one of the most recognizable sights in the entire hobby. They've been the face of the beginner aquarium for 50 years. But here's the truth nobody says out loud. Neon Tetras are fragile in new tanks. They are highly susceptible to a disease called Neon Tetra disease, a parasitic infection with no cure and near 100% fatality. They are sensitive to ammonia and nitrite spikes, which means they're the worst possible fish to add to a tank that hasn't completed its nitrogen cycle. They need established, stable, soft water to truly thrive. A brand new tank with brand new water and a beginner who just got home from PetSmart is almost the opposite of that environment. Studies on fish retail mortality found that Neon Tetras have one of the highest post-purchase death rates of any commonly sold species. Not because they're inherently delicate in nature, but because the gap between what they need and what most beginners have is significant. There is a fish that looks almost identical to a Neon Tetra, costs the same, and is dramatically hardier for new tanks. It's coming up in part 2. Avoid number 4. Dwarf Gouramis. Dwarf Gouramis are one of the most beautiful fish in the hobby. They're also carrying a virus. Dwarf Gourami iridovirus, DGIV, is a disease that has swept through the mass production fish farms that supply most pet stores in North America. Estimates from fish disease researchers suggest that somewhere between 22 and 100% of dwarf gouramis in the retail supply chain are infected. The fish looks fine in the store. It looks fine for weeks at home. And then it stops eating, gets bloated, fades, and dies. Usually within 6 months to a year of purchase, with no effective treatment available. This is not speculation. This is documented in published veterinary literature and widely discussed in the professional aquarium community. The tragedy is that beginner fish owners who lose a dwarf gourami almost always blame themselves. They test the water. They wonder what they did wrong. They buy a replacement. There is a gourami that is closely related, looks similar, and carries none of these issues. It is one of the best beginner fish on the planet. It's in part 2. Okay, so now you know what the store is quietly selling you that you shouldn't be buying. But here's where this gets genuinely good. Because the 8 fish I'm about to give you are not obscure. They are not specialty fish you have to order online. Most of them are sitting in the exact same store right now. In tanks, right next to the ones we just talked about. You just have to know which ones to pick up. And I saved the most underrated fish on this entire list for last. Because it's the one that beginner hobbyists consistently overlook, experienced hobbyists swear by, and nobody seems to be talking about loud enough. Let's go! Part 2. The 8 fish that actually thrive. Remember the Common Pleco? Grows to 2 feet, destroys plants, overwhelms small tanks? The bristlenose pleco is everything you actually wanted when you bought that fish. It maxes out at 4 to 5 inches. It grazes algae consistently without destroying your plants. It produces far less waste. It stays manageable in a 29-gallon tank and peaceful in community setups. The males develop those wild facial tentacles, which look like nature got inspired by a bonsai tree and somehow make the fish even more charming. Water parameters: 72 to 81 degrees. pH brought around 6.5 to 7.5. Stable and clean matters more than perfect. PetSmart carries them around $6.99. Common bristlenose are tank-bred, hardy, and one of the most reliable purchases in the store. They're not magical algae robots. They still need driftwood to rasp on, proper feeding, and respect. But as a bottom-dwelling cleanup crew that won't outgrow your tank and take hostages, nothing in that store touches them. By number 2, Amber Tetras, the Neon Tetra you actually want. Earlier I told you there's a fish that looks like a Neon Tetra, costs the same, and survives new tanks dramatically better. This is it. Amber Tetras are a warm orange-red, almost translucent, about 3/4 of an inch long. In a planted tank with proper lighting, they look like living embers drifting through foliage. The name is not an accident, but here's what matters biologically. They come from slow, heavily vegetated waters in Brazil, and they're far more tolerant of the water chemistry fluctuations that happen in new cycling tanks. They don't carry the same disease susceptibility as neons. They don't require the precise soft water parameters that neons need to truly thrive. Keep at least 10. A 15-gallon planted setup is ideal. In open water, they look exposed and nervous. In plants, they perform. Water around 72 to 82 degrees. pH 5.5 to 7.5. Petco lists them around $2.99, and chain stores generally have decent stock because they're tank-bred and ship well. If you've been buying Neon Tetras and losing them, try these instead. Same price, same visual impact. Dramatically better odds. By number 3, Honey Gourami, the Dwarf Gourami replacement nobody talks about enough. This is the fish I mentioned earlier. The one that exists right next to the Dwarf Gourami carries none of the viral risk and is somehow still underappreciated. The Honey Gourami, Trichogaster tuna, is smaller, calmer, and biologically distinct from the Dwarf Gourami despite looking superficially similar. The males develop a deep amber honey coloration when settled and comfortable. The females stay softer, more muted. Together in a planted tank, they look genuinely beautiful, without ever creating drama. They are labyrinth breathers, meaning they come to the surface to gulp air. That means they appreciate calm flow and a warm air pocket above the waterline. A tight lid helps. 10 to 20 gallons, 72 to 81 degrees. pH 6.0 to 7.5. PetSmart carries gold honey gouramis around $7.99. They stay small, move gracefully, and bring a warmth to the middle column of a tank that almost nothing else at that price point matches. Keep them with gentle, similarly sized tank mates. A honey gourami is not a bully. It is a floating lantern that has never started a problem in its life. By number 4, Corydoras, the non-negotiable bottom dweller. Every beginner tank needs Corydoras. Full stop. These are the golden retrievers of the aquarium world. Peaceful, social, nosy, completely harmless, and deeply committed to investigating every square inch of substrate like they're on an archaeological dig of urgent personal importance. bronze, albino, panda, pepper. Most varieties at chain stores are solid. The rule is simple: never buy 2. 6 is the minimum, 8 is better. And give them floor space. A 20-gallon long over a 20-gallon tall, always. Their biology is fascinating. They can supplement their oxygen intake by gulping air at the surface, which looks alarming the first time you see it and is completely normal. Those barbels are sensory organs, not decorative whiskers. Soft sand or smooth gravel protects them. Sharp gravel damages the barbels over time and is one of the most common low-level cruelties in home aquariums that nobody notices. 72 to 79 degrees pH, 5.5 to 7.5. Tank-bred strains are flexible. Clean water is the real requirement. PetSmart charges $7 to $9 for common varieties, which feels steep until the day you watch 6 of them pile together under a piece of driftwood and realize you'd pay significantly more. By number 5, Harlequin rasboras, the schooling fish that makes your tank look expensive. If you want a tank that looks like it was designed by someone who knows exactly what they're doing, get Harlequin rasboras. Their copper-orange bodies carry a distinctive black wedge marking that catches the light differently depending on the angle. In a group, moving together through the midwater, they look coordinated in a way that feels almost deliberate. That's because it is. Schooling behavior in this species is deeply social and based on constantly reading each other's movement. That's why the group size matters so much. 8 minimum. 10 or 12 and suddenly the tank looks alive in a completely different way. 15 to 20 gallon long, 70 to 82 degrees, pH range 5.0 to 7.5. They are widely bred, ship well and recover from retail stress faster than a lot of species. PetSmart usually has reliable stock, around $4. Pair them with Corridoras below and honey gouramis in the mid-column and you have a community tank that looks like it came from a magazine spread, built entirely from fish available at a box store for under $50. By number 6, White Cloud Mountain Minnows, the most underrated fish in the entire hobby. Okay, this is the one I promised at the start. The most underrated fish in the hobby. The one experienced keepers swear by and beginners consistently overlook. White Cloud Mountain Minnows. Here's what makes them genuinely extraordinary for beginners. They don't need a heater. Not as a corner-cutting compromise, as a biological fact. These fish come from cool, fast-moving mountain streams in the Guangdong province of China. They prefer 57 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, which means room temperature in most homes is their ideal habitat, not a hardship they're tolerating. For a beginner who hasn't bought a heater yet, or who lives somewhere with inconsistent temperatures, this is biologically significant. Their pH tolerance is enormous, roughly 6.0 to 8.0. They eat virtually anything. They're peaceful, active, school beautifully in groups of 8 or more, and their bodies flash silver, olive and red in a way that looks far more expensive than their $2.79 price tag. In a 15 to 20 gallon tank with good flow and open swimming space, a school of white clouds is constantly in motion. They look like someone animated a river and put it in your living room. The reason they're underrated is simply that they're not tropical. The hobby has a bias toward tropical fish because heaters became standard. But for a beginner who wants hardy, beautiful and forgiving, white clouds are the answer that almost nobody is giving you loudly enough. PetSmart carries them. They're usually in great shape because they handle shipping well. Buy a school of 10, put them in a cool, clean tank, And watch what happens when you stop fighting your fish's biology and just work with it instead. By number 7, Zebra Danios, the fish that tells you when something is wrong. Zebra Danios have one speed: fast. Striped silver-blue bodies, constantly moving. Slicing through open water like they have somewhere to be and they're already late. For beginners, that energy is actually useful. Active fish are honest fish. When Danios are comfortable, they are everywhere in the tank. When something is off, water quality dipping, a tank mate causing stress, a parameter creeping in the wrong direction, their behavior changes visibly. They're one of the best early warning systems in the hobby. Keep at least 6. 8 is better. Give them length, a 20-gallon long over height every time. They're built for horizontal movement, not vertical exploration. 64 to 79 degrees, slightly acidic to neutral water. One of the most forgiving fish on this list. PetSmart carries them around $2.99. And chain store stock is usually strong because they're raised in massive numbers and are genuinely tough. One pairing note: don't put them with slow, long-finned fish. Zebra Danios next to fancy guppies or bettas is like putting espresso shots in a yoga class. Someone ends up nipped. By number 8. Amber Tetras and Corridoras together, the setup that basically runs itself. I want to end not with a fish, but with a combination. Because this is the beginner setup that consistently produces the best results. A 15 to 20 gallon planted tank. 10 to 12 Amber Tetras in the midwater. 6 to 8 Corridoras on the bottom. Add a single honey gourami as a centerpiece. That's it. Everything in that tank has overlapping parameter requirements. Everything is peaceful. The behavioral layers, upper, mid, bottom, are all occupied. The color contrast between the orange ambers, the warm gourami and the soft spotted corridoras creates visual depth that tanks with one species never have. The entire setup costs under $80 in fish. It runs on a standard kit available at every big box store in the country. And because every species in it is genuinely adapted to the conditions a beginner can realistically provide – stable water, consistent temperature, adequate filtration – it doesn't just survive. It thrives. That's the difference nobody explains when you're standing in the aisle. Not which fish is prettiest. Not which fish is cheapest. Which fish's biology actually fits the tank you can maintain. Get that right, and the hobby stops being a cycle of guild and replacement fish. It starts being what it was always supposed to be. Most beginners who lose fish don't lose them because they're bad at this. They lose them because nobody gave them the information they needed before the fish went in the bag. The Common Pleco growing to 24 inches. The Dwarf Gourami carrying a virus from the supply chain. The Neon Tetra that needs established water chemistry, a brand new tank can't provide for weeks. None of that is on the label, but now you know it. And that changes what happens the next time you walk into that store. You walk past the Common Plecos and pick up a bristlenose. You skip the Dwarf Gourami and find the Honey Gourami 2 tanks over. You look at the Neon Tetras and keep walking until you reach the Embers. Same store, same aisle, completely different outcome. The fish that thrive in your tank aren't hiding. They're right there in plain sight. You just needed to know which ones to pick. If this saves even one fish from going home in the wrong tank, share it with someone who just got into the hobby or is about to. Subscribe if you want the follow-up video, because next I'm going into the exact tank setup that makes all 8 of these fish thrive from day one. Water, cycling, plants, feeding schedule, the whole thing. And drop a comment below, which fish on the avoid list have you already bought? Which ones did you lose? Because I'd bet real money the answers in those comments are going to make a lot of people feel a lot less alone about what happened to their first tank.